This podcast is a part of the Podmania podcasting network. Check out podmania.co.uk to check out more of our great podcasts, features, reviews, match ratings and previews spanning the crazy and diverse world of professional wrestling. Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom right here on the Podmania Podcasting Network. Happy Super Bowl Sunday for our American contingent. I'm joined as ever by Chris O'Brien. Chris, how are you, my friend?
So, on the subject of sports, I don't know if you know this, Rob, but England and Scotland played yesterday in Twickenham in the rugby, and haha, you cunt, we beat you.
I pride myself on watching, a lot of sport. I'm a very sporty person, but rugby is just something that has never held my attention. I never played it at school. I never liked it. I never really got interested in it, which is weird, seeing as I'm a big American football fan, so I don't really quite understand that.
Here's the thing, I don't watch rugby, I just know that we beat you, and that's all I care about. I don't give a fuck about the actual sports, but beating England, fuck yeah, fuck you guys.
Just blind patriotic pride.
Yeah, apparently it's the first time we beat you in Twickenham in decades, so it's like, yeah, go on lads, like, put on a fucking alcohol tax and suddenly Scotland is good at sports.
Fortress Twickenham.
Twickenham? I don't know. Let's move on.
My best friend got married in Twickenham, actually.
The longer we talk about sports, the longer people are going to realise I know nothing about sports.
I think we should plumb this. Though, to be fair, you sounded very, very excited when I was talking about the Super Bowl. Well, I say very, very excited. You said you seemed vaguely interested. You went, who's playing?
Yeah, well, to be fair, I had to become very good at pretending I cared about football in school.
Okay.
Because, but I also had to pretend to care about football that no one else cared about. So they wouldn't call me weird, but also they wouldn't attack me for supporting a certain team. So I just said I supported Bolton Wanderers.
Oh, why?
Because my granddad loved Bolton Wanderers.
Fair enough.
See, now you seem like a dick.
Not really. Bolton Wanderers are shit.
That's just rude. That's rude, that. Aren't you a Newcastle fan?
Hey, we're 2 leagues above you. I will just point out, you do realise American football, completely different sport to English football.
Yeah, I know that. But
Okay.
It's basically rugby for wusses.
Oh, on Super Bowl Sunday as well. Bastard. Absolute bastard. Anyway, as Chris has said, we should probably move on. It's been a long time since we've done one of these. We apologise, but we are back now, and we're going to try and keep to some sort of weekly schedule as best we can. We're going to do some news, some bits of information leading up to the 3 shows that we're talking about today. Those are the Osaka shows from the 24th of January, and then the show from the 30th. I know that there's been a show. There was a show on Saturday and a show on Sunday, but at the time of recording, only 2 matches are up from Saturday, so that'll be next week's podcast to listen to. So please stay tuned for that. But heading into the news, just a couple of things, Chris. I want to start with the Stardom Awards 2020. Just a couple of notes from this. So the Best Skill Award went to Konami. Fighting Spirit went to Tam Nakano. The Best Unit was Donna Del Mondo. Best Tag Team was Aphrodite. Best Match was Utami versus Mai Iwatani from Sendai Cinderella, apparently negating the shit-ass crowd. The Special Merit Award goes to B. Priestley. And then Giulia swept up both the Shining Award and the MVP. The Shining Award is fan-voted. Anything there that surprises you? Anything that you'd change? Anything that stands out?
A couple of things. First of all, what the fuck is the special the special achievement award or whatever? Is that sounds like the award they'd give to like the useless dopey kid at school?
The me is what you're trying to say.
You're not completely useless. But yeah, what's that? What is the special achievement award? Is that just because she's in New Japan?
I'm not entirely sure. I honestly don't know whether it's, she's made the biggest impact or I couldn't tell you. I didn't do that much research. I just know that she won the special merit. I'll be honest, Chris, you're picking holes in my research, dickhead.
I still think that now that Giulia has 2 awards, she should come down with and replace the Wonder of Stardom Championship with a belt made of Tokyo sports issues.
Well, she now has 3 separate awards. I mean, I think she should fully lean into the Owen Hart gimmick and just bring them all down to the ring.
Have it part of a tights.
Yes, I think she should, definitely. And every time someone challenges for a belt, just say, how many awards have you got? None? Absolutely not. Yeah, you're not worth my time.
2007 TNA pay-per-view. We're doing the whole thing where Karen Angle was cheating on Kurt. Don't play with fire. And JB went to tell Angle, and Angle was like, what? Is he taller than me? Does he have gold medals?
Fucking love Kurt Angle. The thing that stands out for me from those awards is the award that Giulia won. Is it Shining Star? Is that what it's called? That was fan voted. You have one of the
research in front of you. You didn't prep me at all for this section.
The Shining Award is fan voted. And I know that Giulia's received, a lot of backlash for, perhaps not recently or as recently, but she received a lot of backlash. So the fact that she's now won an award that is fan voted is great for her. And I think, to be fair, she's thoroughly deserved it. I'd argue that the MVP could have been Mayu, just solely because of, her phenomenal red belt reign and the phenomenal matches she had in defense of that belt. But I'm not exactly disgruntled the fact that Giulia won that. And I am really happy that fans, obviously I know it's based in Japan, but I'm happy that fans are coming round to Giulia. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Let's move on then. So, looking at Budokan, which of course is less than a month away, which is bizarre. It seems like time is going really, really quick. Don't make a depressing joke about time. I knew you were going to do it.
God damn it.
But I want to talk about a few things here, and all of the translations that I'm going to talk about are courtesy of @1222 Dragon Moon on Twitter. So thank you to them. They've translated a lot of the stuff from Japanese publications so that we can read them, which is amazing. And they've translated something from Bushiroad's president, Takagi Kidani, and he's looked back on 2020 and he's outlined Stardom's future prospects on Shupro. So this is what he had to say. The Budokan show on the 3rd of March will not only showcase what Stardom has accomplished over the past decade, but also serve as the starting point for its much greater success. And that makes sense, putting Saya Kamitani in the red belt match. Despite the COVID-19 setbacks, Stardom's sales have almost doubled in the last year. Once we establish a strong fan base in 2 years, you'll see a switch from linear to exponential revenue growth. So I believe things will have got really interesting 2.5 years from now. The announcement of Stardom's Budokan show made huge impact, but would never happen without COVID-19. In normal times, it'd look bad with many empty seats. But with the ongoing restriction, a few thousand fans in attendance should be enough to hold a show at Budokan. If you want to see a wrestling promotion grow bigger, Stardom is the best choice. Now, it's still not big enough to expand the business, but the roster full of young, talented wrestlers ensures its continued growth. Our goal is to hold Stardom's biggest show at the Tokyo Dome in 2025. Just piggybacking on the back of that, what was Niagara Driver is now at Armani Shoe on Twitter. They actually made a note.
That's what I had no idea about the Niagara Driver.
They will started releasing the tickets for the Budokan show on the 27th of January, and in the first 10 minutes, it looks like the show sold out the $1,000 VIP seats and ladies' seats, and that's in the first 10 minutes. So, first of all, Chris, I think the thing that jumps out to me is obviously our goal is to hold Stardom's biggest show at the Tokyo Dome in 2025. It's an ambitious goal. I like it. I mean, if you asked any Stardom fan, do you think they'll be running Budokan? I'm pretty sure every one of them would have said no. And it's interesting that they've said without COVID, this wouldn't have happened. You know, we know we can't sell out Budokan, but this has actually given us a real opportunity. So it's good that they're acknowledging that. The fact that their sales have almost doubled in 2020 when you consider everything that has gone on in the year 2020, how much of a fucking bastard of a year 2020 was, and Stardom's sales have almost doubled. That's phenomenal growth. If they continue with that growth, then I have no doubt that a Tokyo Dome show in 4 years' time is more than achievable. You know, I'm not for a minute saying that they are going to achieve 40,000 people to the Tokyo Dome, but, you know, if you can get a Stardom show in front of, 15, 20,000 people? You know, reaching for 20,000 people, that's an astonishingly ambitious target, which I'm really glad to see that they're doing. They're not just resting on the laurels, they're looking to expand. What about you, Chris? What jumps out to you about that interview?
Well, you know what else correlates with Stardom's growth? The Stardom cast.
So what you're saying is that we are almost single-handedly responsible for the growth of Stardom.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And soon we'll have us as English commentary. We'll be better than fucking Kevin Kelly.
I love Kevin Kelly. Leave him alone.
We'll get Chris Charlton involved, you know, get him away from that shit-ass promotion in New Japan. It would be great. But yeah, like, running a Tokyo Dome show, like, when you think of the current climate where the only person who really can do that is New Japan. Because basically Noah and DDT came together and went, now we'll maybe host a Tokyo Dome show at some point.
Mm.
So it's incredibly ambitious. But also, again, if they keep growing, I don't see why not. Because it's weird. Like, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a certain point where you just have to jump from Budokan to Tokyo Dome. Like, there's not like an in-between venue in sort of that capacity. It's sort of like how in Edinburgh you sort of have 500, then 2,000, and then fucking Merrifield. So no one outside of Edinburgh is going to fucking know what I'm talking about. But you know what I mean?
No, I get what you mean, yeah.
So, yeah, it makes sense. It can't be worse. It can't draw worse than New Japan did. In 2004, 2005, I think it was, they only drew like 9,000 people to the Dome.
Yeah. Early noughties, you're looking at not necessarily bad draws, but certainly poorer draws than the game in more recent years.
Well done, Inoki.
It seems like Stardom is on just an astronomical course upwards. You know, they're gaining momentum.
Sales, what are we talking about? Is that like merch or subscriptions?
It doesn't specify. It just says sales. I mean, obviously it's not going to be ticket sales. So you would assume merch, subscriptions to Stardom World, things like that, I imagine.
Yeah, I can't think of what else it would be. To be fair, they've just opened up their worldwide store, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
I can. Yeah, it's probably merch then. Like, if they feel comfortable opening up a worldwide store, a lot of it is probably merch.
If you consider the fact that Stardom's growth has almost doubled from where they were in 2019, and you consider that the last show of 2019 they sold out Korakuen for the first time. Oh no, it was the start of January, didn't they? They sold it out for the 9th anniversary show. And then without fans, without being able to do the meet and greets, which I know has a large percentage of their gross income, they didn't have any of that for 2020. You've got all that to come back. You've got ticket sales to come back. You've got full Korakuens to come back. So the only way is going to be up at least for the next 12, 18 months, you know, when this pandemic finally is under control. It's a really exciting time to be watching Stardom, because you do feel like they are reaching for the stars. They are starting to outgrow, the Shinkiba Pit and, Shinjuku Face and, the smaller venues. So it's an exciting time. I'm excited for Budokan, which actually brings me to my next point, because parts of the card have now been announced. Obviously, matches that we knew. So you have the main event of Utami versus Sayaka Mitani, which we spoke about at the end of the last podcast. Natsupoi versus Azumi. You've got Yoshiko versus Mayu that's been made official, which we're going to talk about in a moment. And Momo Watanabe versus Nene Takahashi, which again has been made official. And we'll talk about in a minute when we talk about Seedling. But also the 10th anniversary Premium All-Star Rumble, which is going to be taking place. They've announced some of the participants. Now, please forgive me if, you are listening to this and you are a seasoned Joshi veteran, you know who these people are. I know a couple of names, and I've done a bit of research on a couple of the names just because, I wanted to know who they were. If you want to watch a VTR introduction to all these people, Stardom have actually got one of those on their Twitter feed at the moment. So I'll just run through the names and then I'll talk to you about them, Chris, afterwards. So the announced participants at the moment are Yuzuki Aikawa, Yoko Bito, Momo Nakanishi, Kaguma, Haruka Kato, who's also known as Harukaze or Harukaze. I apologise if I butchered that pronunciation. Yuna Manas, Hiromi Mimiura, and Miho Wakazawa, or Waki for short. So those are the participants as of the moment. No Kairi Sane at the moment. What do you think? Are there names you are familiar with? Are there names you're not particularly familiar with? I mean, I look at those names and Aikawa I'm familiar with. She was the first Wonder of Stardom champion, the longest reigning Wonder of Stardom champion at 618 days. She was the first Goddesses of Stardom champion. She was, a main eventer right in the, the very first days of Stardom. I know about Yoko Bito, or Yoko Bito. I don't know how to pronounce it. I assume it's one of those two, because of her run, winner of the 5-star in 2016. She's 2 times Goddess of Stardom champion. She winner of the first ever tag league with Aikawa. Finals of the 5-star in 2017 where she lost to Toni Storm. So I know her. And the other one, or the other 2 that I know, are Yuna Manas, and that's only because obviously we saw her re-debut for Stardom at Yokohama Cinderella back in October, and Momo Nakanishi. And I only know Momo Nakanishi because of her work in All Japan Women. She's 2-time All Japan Women's Champion, 1-time All Japan Women Junior Champion. She's decorated as fuck. And I know that she was last
season. She's only 40? Wow, sorry, I didn't realise she was only 40. Sorry,
well, I'm pretty sure she was in the Rumble at No Peoplegate in March 2020, wasn't she?
Oh, I think she was. I'm going to double check that right now.
I'm sure she was, because I'm sure I remember thinking, I know her.
Oh, yeah, she was, along with, of course, Super Stardom Machine and Captain Stardom.
The 3 faces of Sayarida.
3 faces of Sayarida. We just need a deathmatch version and we're there. Yeah, in terms of who I know, it's basically the same as you. Like, literally just the same people.
Yeah.
Yoko Bito is one I'm surprised to see, to be honest.
I've heard
I don't know why I'm
so many seasoned Stardom fans talk about Yoko Bito, so I'm excited to see her again.
I've seen some Yoko Bito just because when you go back, she's in like a lot of the main events against like Kairi and Io, so makes sense to have her there, especially if you're trying to celebrate Joshi. But in terms of like what's going to be there, it's a rumble, so it's just gonna like, not to use this term in the most endearing way possible, it's just going to be a bit of bollocks in it.
Yeah, it's certainly not going to be a 5-star event, but it's going to be nice to see what is, chapters of Stardom's history, and it's going to be nice to give them, a little bit of respect as we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of this company. There's a couple of names I'm not familiar with at all. I wasn't familiar with Kaguma. I'd only heard the name once, and that was because it was who Mayu beat in the first Cinderella tournament. I don't know why I knew that, but that's there we are.
I imagine sometimes you just scroll Mayu's Wikipedia page.
Haruka Kato or Harukaze, again, please correct my pronunciation if I got that wrong. She's still active in DDT, as is Yuna Manas, more Tokyo Joshi Pro. I'm not familiar at all with, to give her a nickname, Wacky, or Mimiura. I'm not familiar with them at all, to be perfectly honest. So it's nice to see this. I mean, one of the great things about being new to Stardom, as I am really, it's nice to look at the history and learn more about the history and learn more about the promotion that I'm watching. So I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to know more about it, Chris.
Well, it's such a radio host way of putting it.
It was. Let's carry on then. So what I did want to talk to everyone about, and this is, the biggest news, to be perfectly honest, coming out of at least Seedling these last couple of weeks. Mayu Iwatani, Momo Watanabe, and Saya Iida turned up in Seedling on the 22nd of January in response to Yoshiko turning up on the video screen at Korakuen, and that was where the matches were made official. Mayu Iwatani versus Yoshiko and Momo Watanabe versus Nene Takahashi. They were made official at that Seedling show. It was also confirmed later on that at the Seedling show on the 10th of February, we are going to see Arisa Nakajima and Nene Takahashi taking on Momo Watanabe and Saya Iida. Chris, are you excited for this?
Yes, because I'm now a Seedling fan.
Really?
Because I ended up watching the 2 shows from this year, and both tag team main events were very good. And the quickest way to my heart is a good tag team main event. And so, because the match on the show we were just talking about was Nakajima and Nene versus Sari and Yoshiko, and Jesus Christ, it banged so hard. Like, it's one of those matches where I can't explain why I like it. It just bangs. And it was great. And it's weird, because earlier I watched the whole show, and earlier in the show, they came out, and I'm just sitting there not realizing what the fuck they're saying because there's no subtitles because it's a live feed. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm really into it. Can someone fight already? And it was weird because it was like tracksuit wars. We were all in like their company tracksuits, and I'm sorry, Seedling just have cooler tracksuits.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I am a big fan of the new Stardom tracksuits. Big fan.
Yeah, but the Seedling ones are just cooler.
All right, okay.
They are though. Have you seen them? They're so cool.
You heard it here first. Chris is Team Seedling.
I'm Team Seedling when it comes to the trackies. I'm sitting on the fence because I don't want either side to be mad at me.
We will both be watching this. We haven't quite established how we're going to watch it yet, because it's Wednesday, the 10th of February. I believe it's a pay-per-view, also you were informing me, Chris, before we came on air, so we're not entirely sure how we're going to watch it, but we are going to try and watch it, and we'll review it on Sunday's show along with the shows.
It'll turn up somewhere. Wrestling always does.
Yeah, we'll find it somewhere. I'm very excited to watch it, I must admit. We'll see how it goes. It does seem that Saya Iida, bless her, is there to take the pin, which is really unfortunate.
She's not there to take it, but she's basically Reptar, except Reptar never lost.
Exactly. Let's move on then, Chris. Let's get on to the first of these 3 shows that we're going to be looking at today. The first 2 were on the same day, the 24th of January, as we wrap up the Stardom New Year's Stars Tour. Osaka, Japan, the afternoon show from the Edion Arena, Osaka, number 2, in front of 229 fans. Just whip through the first couple of matches. We started with Natsuko Tora defeating Ruaka at 7 minutes and 9 seconds with the Ascension. And match 2, I'm going to briefly talk about this one actually. Cosmic Angels, the team of Tam Nakano and Yunagi Sayaka, defeated Stars, Starlight Kid and Saya Iida at 10 minutes and 21 seconds with the Tiger Suplex. Chris, did you watch this one?
I don't. Yeah, I did, but I have no thoughts on it.
Don't worry. It wasn't overly important, to be perfectly honest. Throughout these 3 shows, I'm going to be tracking Unagi, and there's a reason I'm tracking Unagi. So this is basically a very understandably safe match, as or 3/4 of this match are in higher profile matches in the evening. Tam taking a pop at Stars in the opening promo, saying check it out, was entertaining. But it was mainly good to see Unagi show some brief fire while she was attacking the arm of Sayurida. We've seen very, very little of Unagi's offense. Very, very little of her having fire behind that offense. And she showed brief little glimpses of it here, which was brilliant, which is what we need to see. The Starlight Kid and Tam Nakano exchange was really, really good. As, me and you raved over their match at Korakuen about how good it was. So just an extension of that. And you really feel the competitive nature between Cosmic Angels and Stars, especially in this match. And then we got a disgusting high-angled German suplex from Tam, which was absolutely disgusting. I gave it 2 3/4 stars. It was just short of 3 stars. It was, like I say, it was a bit safe, completely understandably, but it's good to see that we've got some manner of progress from Unagi.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I have more to say about Unagi's progress later on in the shows.
Yeah, no, so have I. So it should be quite an interesting conversation. Match 3 then. Aphrodite defeated Mayu Iwatani and Lady C at 10 minutes and 45 seconds with the Star Crusher. Before we get into the match, Chris, and I'll throw to you for your thoughts on the match first, the Aphrodite promo is excellent. And I love the way they're building the tension between Saya Kamitani and Utami Hayashishita. I love the way that they're building it through comedy. I mean, this one was brilliant because you've got Saya completely deadpanning Utami's joy at being on the front of Weekly Pro Wrestling. It's brilliant. Like, she doesn't even look at her. It's amazing. And throughout these 3 shows, you'll notice that they don't stand together, even though they're a tag team. They don't look at each other, even though they're a tag team. And the miscommunication between the two gets more and more and more as the nights go on. And it's really subtle, but I love it. It's amazing. And is their match at Budokan going to be fantastic? I don't know. There's been, there's a couple of matches where Saya Kamitani's been a little bit rough on these 3 shows, but the way they're building it very subtly without going over the top, I really, really enjoyed it. As for the match, Chris, I know that you were intrigued by Lady C being put into a prominent position. How do you think she fared?
I was thinking about this well, obviously it was because, I was taking notes. But I was thinking about this while I was watching it, and I was thinking back because, like yourself, I watched the Rumble this past weekend. And while I did enjoy the Women's Rumble, you see people like Mandy Rose and Nia Jax and Dana Brooke, who in Stardom would be considered fucking veterans for how long they've been going. Like 5-6 years.
Especially Nia Jax.
Especially not. No, actually, Dana Brooke's been going longer than you'd think.
Oh, she?
Same with Mandy. Mandy was in like 2015 Tough Enough. So she has at least a few years' experience below her belt. And 4 years now on the main roster? And they're all garbage. They're all completely garbage wrestlers with no sense of how to do anything. And then you see Lady C, who already has like the basics down. Like, she did what she had to do here. Wow, there was some moments of a bit of unease, but she's had 30 matches, as opposed to like some of the people in that Rumble who would have had matches in the thousands. Like, I think it's sort of a great account for the way Stardom trains wrestlers, and that Lady C didn't feel completely out of place this early on in her career. Like, let me put it this way: she felt less out of place. She felt less out of place here than Mina or Unagi felt in the first couple of weeks in Stardom, which is mad to me.
She seems to have grasped the in-ring aspect really, really quickly. Like, she's not doing anything flashy. She is ultimately still a rookie. But she's doing the basics very, very, very well. And during this match, it didn't stand out that she was a rookie. And I think that's the biggest compliment you can pay her. Because, if you'd stuck her in there and she'd stunk up the joint, then, everyone's going to talk about how she's still a rookie, she shouldn't be in that match, blah, 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 blah. But the fact that this match was actually pretty good, and Lady C paid a part of that, I think you're absolutely spot on. I think it pays great testament to how Stardom trains their wrestlers, because she's coming... We spoke on her debut about how she had just a little bit of sort of personality, a little bit of attitude, and she seems to be coming out with that a little bit more every time she's in the ring. And the moves that she's doing, yes, are very basic. It's a lot of kicks, a lot of slams, as you would expect with a rookie, but she's doing them well. And I can't really complain about that at all. You've got better wrestlers around you to do the other things. You do what you need to do very basically, very, very well. And she did, to be fair.
Yeah. Again, there were a couple of moments where she was like slightly outplaced or something, but she's a rookie.
Absolutely.
So, for her experience level, she wrestled as good, much better than you'd expect. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
And granted, she's in there with May, but then Utami and Saya, they're still fairly young as well. So it's not a complete carry job, because I think we saw with some of Utaya and Saya's 5-star performances that they can't always carry you if you can't carry your weight. So Lady C was very clearly carrying her weight here.
Agreed. And the match did what it needed to do as well.
Yeah, and the fact that she's establishing her personality whilst also grasping the in-ring aspect is really impressive, considering New Japan sometimes literally don't let their young lions do that.
Well, they quite literally strip everything away, don't they? That's the whole point. You shave your head.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Black tights, black boots.
Simple except Juice Robinson didn't change. If you look back at Wrestle Kingdom, he didn't shave his head. He still had his fucking dreadlocks.
We'll let him off.
They are magnificent dreadlocks.
They are
For one
tremendous.
white man, I will accept having a dreadlocks, but the only guy. Anyway, let's continue.
It was a good match that served to get Saya Kamatani over, because that's going to be the job of her next couple of matches, to get her over as a legitimate threat before Budokan in March. Performing the Star Crusher on someone as tall as Lady C, by the way, not as easy as it looks, I can imagine. So, well played.
That's impressive. I'd be dead worried about dropping them on their neck.
Absolutely. And then even post-match, I don't know if you noticed this, but the Queen's Quest team aren't looking at each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, it's a very, very simple, very, very basic storytelling trope, but it's working really, really well.
Somewhat similar to the Momo build-up, except we're not having a build-up of Usai is having some bad luck.
No, exactly. I give this 2.5 stars, Chris.
Yeah, I went 2. I think I went 3. Where's my notes? Yeah, I went 3. So I was more positive on this one than you were.
Fair
I
enough.
think it's mostly because it's hard to give a match with Mayu and Itami lower than 3. Their exchanges are always fucking class.
Their exchange was tremendous. It's always going to be, isn't it, when you consider who's there.
Mm-hmm.
Match 4 then. Tag team action again, with the team of Queen's Quest, Azumi and Momo Watanabe defeating Donna Del Mondo, Suri and Natsupoi at 12 minutes and 47 seconds with a roll-up. Jesus Christ, this was outstanding, Chris.
I didn't expect this to fuck it, because I had so much going against it. It's on a day show of a day with two matches, where everyone's having 2 matches. And it's in a small venue in Osaka. Nothing about this, the context of this match would scream, you know what, this is going to bang hard, but this banged super hard.
It did. It was tremendous.
And it's weird, because I look up and down, it's the only match that really sets up, but really has 2 opponents who are actually feuding going into various shows, like Shuri and Momo feuding going into the next big show, and then Azumi and Natsupoi feuding going into Budokan. So I guess it makes sense for his actual heat here. But also, what I liked about one sort of thing for telling the story of Momo being on a bit of a downward spiral, Azumi was constantly saving Momo in this match.
It's a weird storyline, and I want to talk a little bit more about this during the show on the 30th. And I noticed that too. And I noticed Syuri quite noticeably in this tag match getting the upper hand on Momo. And I know that's something that they're working on going into that show, but it's going somewhere, this Momo thing. It is going somewhere. There's a story somewhere, and I'm very, very intrigued as to where they're going for that. And let's not forget, spoilers, let's not forget that Momo is once again the only person not in a title match at Budokan.
Mm-hmm.
So, not that she's not in a high-profile match, she's in a very high-profile match with Nene, so let's just, it's not that she's being completely misused, but it's just that visual of the fact that everyone else going for the belts, and then when you consider who the next challenger for the SWA belt is, a belt that she's had 2 shots at since October. So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. I thought Syuri was outstanding here. The first part of this match, all 4 women had tremendous chemistry, but it's Syuri initially directing traffic. I mean, it's ironic that we're doing this on Super Bowl Sunday. She was like a quarterback. Everything went through her for that first half of the match. And it just proves what a commodity she is to this company. I mean, she's got future red belt champion all over her. I mean, she has to be. She's got everything the company want. Azumi and Natsupoi then compete in just an absolutely fantastic closing stretch with all the drama, near falls, and pace you would expect from a high division match.
What I liked about that ending was they were doing the roll up and then Momo just strolled in and kicked.
Oh, that was hilarious. That was brilliant. It was the stroll. It was the stroll into the ring.
She might as well
Stroll into the ring,
like
bang.
The Steamboat Willie walk, just whistling, and then just fucks. That's the point.
Oh, bless her. Bless Natsupoi. She takes a beating over these 3 shows. Natsupoi does.
Yeah, I really like the exchanges between Momo and Syuri, and not just the kick exchanges, but like the technical one at the start. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They work really well with each other, especially in a tag setting. And
that's something they put into the start. They mirror in their match on the 30th, which I really like.
Yeah, and seriously, why did this swap? Why was this good? This shouldn't have been good. I feel like, because I have very little of substance to say about this match. It's just sort of the same thrill I got watching Masato Tanaka versus Zeus at the All Japan card at the beginning of the year. It's like, I don't know how else to put it. It just is really good.
It's past its job as a mere prelude to their respective singles matches. I mean, it was just an excellent tag match on its own in its own little bubble. I think all 4 women had fantastic chemistry. They brought something different to the fight. And the fact that it only went 12 minutes, it was just bang, 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 bang. And they managed to build it somehow. I mean, it wasn't by any stretch just a car crash from start to finish. You said about the technical exchange between Syuri and Momo initially. Absolutely phenomenal. Really, really good. And then you bring in Natsupoi and Azumi, who are absolutely tearing around the ring. It all came together really, really well.
One thing about Natsupoi, which is a weird thing to compliment her on, but she's really good at where she places her drop kicks, because you won't see a drop kick coming. Someone will just be sitting next to her and then bang, they're getting drop kicked.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love Natsupoi. I think she's a really, really, really good worker, and she's I don't want to say
showman as well.
Oh, shut up. I don't want to say she's the designated pin eater for DDM, but at the moment she is the designated pin eater for DDM. And she's so much more than that. She's so good in ring. So I look forward to her match with Azumi at Budokan. That really is going to tear the house down. It really is. As for this match, I loved it. I gave it 4.25.
I give it 4. It's really good. It's probably my starting match of the year so far.
Wow, bold claim. So it certainly should. It's a shame that it's happening this early in the year, because for many people, when it comes to the Stardom Cast Awards at the end of the year, which are, as you know, the most prestigious wrestling awards, people tend to forget matches like this just because they're right at the start of the year. But yeah, really a noteworthy match. Definitely. Really, really good. We then main evented with a 6-woman tag with the Donna Del Mondo team of Giulia, Maika, and Himeka defeating the Oedo Tai team of Saki Kashima, Konami, and B. Priestley at 14 minutes and 46 seconds with the glorious driver. Chris, what do you think of this match?
It was much better than I expected. As in, it was an actual match.
My opening note on my phone for this match is, well, this was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So we're clearly on the same path, same wavelength here.
We did some stupid Oedo Tai stuff at the start, but then we kind of just started doing a match, and it turns out the members of Oedo Tai are good workers. It's insane, I know. Who'd have saw it coming? I continue to really enjoy Saki. Like my biggest problem with Saki in Stars was she didn't show much personality beyond "I'm happy to be here," and then here she's just sort of being a dick.
It's great. She is really, really entertaining. She's just got this shit-eating grin on her face the entire time as well, which makes it all better.
And at one point, she was fucking choking. I think it was Micah she was choking. I'm like, damn.
Just full-on choking her. Full-on front mount and choking her.
Yeah, and no one was counting. It's ridiculous. B was less vocal, which meant she was less annoying. And Konami's fucking great. And then Himeka over the two Osaka shows sort of helped establish herself again. Because she's been lost in the shuffle recently, and you'd be forgiven for thinking if you got into Stardom massive 5-star, that Himeka's sort of a no personality giant, because she kind of stopped showing it because she was in weird places on the card. But like here, and especially in her Sayurida match, she showed a great amount of personality. She's doing fucking great now.
I agree to a certain extent, and we'll talk about that a little bit more during the tag match on the 30th. I thought her exchange with B was a lot better in this match than it would be later on. I thought there was a real fire. Me. Yeah, absolutely. It surprised me as well.
How well B and fucking Himeka were. What a weird pairing.
Well, it worked really well here, and it was because there seemed to be an intensity in this match. I'll talk a little bit more about this in the Goddess of Stardom tag match. But yeah, I enjoyed that exchange. I enjoyed Saki just being a dick. As far as going back to Himeka, as far as you being lost in the shuffle, you are right to an extent. I mean, she came second in the Firestar, she came runner-up at Firestar? 5-star. But since then, you think, we've had Mike push for the red belt, we've had Syuri push for the red belt and then the SWA. We've got Giulia, who's at the white belt and seems to be in the main event of every single show. So, she is sort of the de facto fourth person at the moment. I imagine she'll now overtake Micah again, which is a shame because Micah, I think, was elevated from that red belt match with Utami. I wonder how long it'll be before Himeka gets a shot at the red belt. But yeah, this match surpassed everything that I thought it was going to be. I see Oedo Tai in the main event, and I do sort of go, oh, for fuck's sake. I do only watch Oedo Tai matches because I do a podcast. However, credit where credit's due, Oedo Tai over these 3 shows were good. I can't fault them.
But that's always my review of an Oedo Tai match. It was really good, and maybe we started doing Oedo Tai things, but we sort of, over these 3 shows, they didn't get to that point, and we just sort of were, and it was pretty good. Like, Oedo Tai don't have they don't have the big end beater leader like DDM or Queen's Quest or Stars do. But they work as a little heel faction when they're doing little heel things and not hanging people every match. Like, I don't think it was just for DQs, but I was getting to us before. It was the fact it was the same kind of DQ every time, and it took away all heat from what should be a fucking disgusting spot. But here they just wrestled a match, and they're all pretty good wrestlers. and they did really well. And actually, we've been getting really good at heel move spoilers. For heel move that Saki pulled out coming out in her old Stars gear.
Oh, it was brilliant. So funny.
I was like, what? Really? Okay, I'm into... Yeah. Yeah, so that was just all sort of stuff here. There was sort of no give in this match. It was a bit of a slow start to establish where the tightest heels, but apart from that, it was just all go here. Never really a time it slowed down. It was really good, especially for like the day main event of a 2 card day. Can't complain about this one.
No, not at all. I gave it 3.25 stars, Chris.
I give it 3.5. I'm more positive on this one. Like,
you are
I think
more positive today.
Let's wait. Okay, here's the thing. I'm more ready to give something a passing grade, but I'm less ready to give something an excellent grade. That's the difference between me and you.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so let's move to the evening show, the 24th of the 1st, again from Eddie and Arena Osaka, number 2, again in front of 243 people. I'll just whip through these opening match results. Opener, Ruaka defeats Lady C in 6 minutes and 59 seconds, and Himika defeats Saya Ida at 8 minutes and 58 seconds. The first match I want to talk about in any detail is this following match. So match 3, Starlight Kid defeats Unagi Sayaka at 11 minutes and 12 seconds with the Tornado Star Suplex. Chris, what did you think about this?
It was better than I expected it to be, because Kid isn't experienced enough to really carry people. And we've had issues with Unagi, especially as a... Well, I was about to say as a wrestler, but that's not what I mean. Like, as an offensive wrestler in terms of like a moveset, there's very little pop there, and like that's still kind of the case. But also, this match was grand. It was fine. I have no real complaints, but I have no real strong points. Unagi's really good at working underneath. Like, she plays a really good underdog babyface. The only problem is when it comes times for that pop, it doesn't always come. But like Starlight Kid sort of helped carry her through that, because I'm sort of liking how fucking bratty, I think that's the best way I can put it, Starlight is right now.
That's the word I've used in my notes. The whole picking her up by a pigtail and then doing the whole delicious thing in her face after the loss. I was like, that's a proper dickhead move.
Yeah, and the like stomps at the in the middle of the match, where she's just holding onto the rope. The referee tells her to get off. She gets off and then gets right the fuck back on.
It was a proper 5-year-old tantrum thing, that was.
Mm-hmm. So, Kid really helped to make this one, and Unagi's getting slowly better. I don't think she's progressing quite as much as Mina did, but she's still progressing, which is positive.
I liked the fire that Starlight Kid bought, and you know, it all linked back to the initial promo that she gave. You know, I got beaten with the Tiger Suplex by Tam, so I'm going to show you, Nagi, what I've been thinking about. And what she's thinking about is her own variation of the Tiger Suplex, which is the Tornado Star Suplex, which is clearly adapted. So it was a nice little tie-off there. She's also added the Future Shock DDT as well to her moveset, which, yes, I'm here for that all day. The one glaring note here, and I am with you 100%, Unagi remains great on the back foot. Really, really good on the back foot. But I need to see more on her offense in matches like this. Fair enough, you know, Unagi fine underneath against a Mayu, against a Giulia, against a Utami, against a Momo. But against Starlight Kid, and I know we're trying to get Starlight Kid over for the challenge later on in the night, but how many people on this roster is she going to fight from underneath against before she is the one who's got to deliver the offense? I mean, I'm not being funny, but in the grand echelon of Stardom at the moment, because I'm not going to say I predicted that Starlight would challenge for the white belt, but, you know, I did. In the grand echelon of Stardom roster, Starlight Kid isn't in the top. She isn't in the upper echelon. So Unagi should get far more than she does. Now, it's not that bad because she does play the baby face in peril fantastically, and the way she is on the night of the 30th in that tag match is phenomenal. and she plays her part tremendously there, and I've got nothing but praise for that match. But here, against Starlight Kid, she didn't really deliver anything against Sayarida in the match at Korakuen. So, where do we draw the line? Against who are we going to see a sustained offense from Unagi? That's my question. We've sorted one area, but where do we go? If Sayarida is beating Unagi, no offense to Sayarida, but who is there left? Ruaka? Lady C? Death, who gets a pinfall victory for some reason in the opener on the 30th, and fucking hell, I've got words about that. I don't understand where you draw the line, Chris. Do you see what I mean? I'm not trying to nitpick, but if you look at this 3-way elimination 12-woman tag match, okay, in the main event, that's 12 women on your roster, and it's not the biggest roster in the world.
That's
Konami.
Stardom's roster.
Yeah, B, Konami, Tora, Saki. All 4 of those beat Unagi. And you would argue beat Unagi quite easily. Giulia, Maika, Natsupoi, Syuri, sorry. I'd argue all 4 of those beat Unagi. Queen's Quest, Azumi, Momo, Saya, Utami. Who is there left, Chris?
I don't know. Someone needs to be at the bottom, though. Like,
that's correct.
Even when you take away the kids, because that's one big thing that people complain about in a lot of companies, but you can't easily put people in a hierarchy. Everything's all built for everyone to be roughly equal. Stardom doesn't do that. The way Stardom does singles matches on smaller shows, you can easily create a Stardom tier list based off of that. And if you just base it off win-loss records and random singles matches, you'd have about what most people would see as a Stardom tier list. So, do you really want Unagi beating people right now? Because she's not at the point where she should be beating people, even from a storyline perspective. And I'm the first to jump on when I think someone's lost at the wrong time. I'm still mad about Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom. But I don't think Unagi losing here is the biggest issue. My biggest issue is
No. Let me clarify. I'm not bothered about Unagi losing. I'm not bothered about that at all. I'm bothered about how she's losing.
Well, yeah. But also,
that's the issue I have.
I think they've recognised that, and I think that's what the Unagi series coming up is all about. And she kind of showed signs of improving from your criticisms, and also my criticisms in the DDM versus Cosmic Angels match from Bell Sal.
I can't wait to talk about that match.
It is a good match. We'll get to that.
As for this match, I gave it 3 stars. It's a good match. It's a passable match. I gave it 3.
I gave it 2.5.
Fair enough. See, I'm being more positive than you now.
For one match.
I think this might be where we differ slightly. So match 4 was the singles match, Mayu Iwatani versus Tam Nakano, ending in a time limit draw at 15 minutes. Jesus Christ, there is a reason we call Tam the master of the short match. She's so good at storytelling. The emotion of this match was excellent. And the disparity between Mayu, the first half of this match, Mayu takes nothing in this match seriously. Like, she doesn't understand the emotion that Tam is feeling. Like, you look at their opening promos, Tam is quiet, there's no cosmos, there's no kissing the camera, there's no delicious. She just says, I am no one's sidekick. Walks off. Mayu does a little bit, jumps off camera, jumps back on because she's forgot to do the check it out. She tries to shake hands with Tam at the start. Is she not reading this situation at all? It's because she still doesn't quite understand why Tam has left, the issues that Tam has. And I just really enjoyed that disparity. I just really, Mayu laughing and treating this like a big joke. And then we get the second section of this match where Tam is literally forcing Mayu to up a game by German suplexing her into fucking oblivion. And then to Mayu, that third part, that breaking down at the end to Mayu finally realising just how pissed Tam is. And that's where we get that fantastic closing stretch. We get the countdown from the announcer, which just adds that even more drama to the match. I mean, this is the first in what I imagine is going to be a series of matches, maybe a trilogy, maybe just 2. But it was a great start and a great base for where we're going for this feud. Really, really good match. Really solid match. The strikes sounded like they hurt. You've got cocky Mayu, which is, the best Mayu for a situation like that. You've got focused Tam. You just felt the emotion in everything Tam was doing. Whether it be her kicks, her facials, the fact that she was basically in tears when the match finished. Grabbing Mayu's foot right at the end of the match. The emotion of the story, you felt it permeate the entire match. Before we go on to what happened afterwards, what did you think, Chris?
I liked it. I really liked it. We two have had 2 other singles matches from before, just from a brief look at cage match, and I've seen both of them, and possibly controversial. This is still very, very, very good. This is their worst one, though.
Well, it's always got the one that's worse, to be fair.
Yeah, no, but I got the one that's most fresh in my memory, obviously, is their fight, because the other 2 were both of them 5-star, and the 5-star one from last year is like a sleeper match of the year for Stardom.
Oh, it was class. Really, really good match.
Incredible. That felt a lot like this without the conclude, because I'll go on to why the draw didn't bother me for the reason you'd think, given my past of criticizing the draws of Stardom. But also, I thought this was a tad less explosive. It was still really explosive. It's weird, because I said this when I put it in my match of the year thread on Twitter, is that this was still very good, but I felt like we were holding something back for another match.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
If you're planning to do more, makes a lot of sense, but also that did slightly hurt this one a bit. We went towards a draw, and it's weird, I forgot a draw was happening because they didn't really really have anywhere to go after the start. We sort of stayed at one level of intensity, which makes for really good watching, but also doesn't make for doesn't make for much to come out of it when you think about it beyond the turn in Mayu's head, which I think is going to make more for a more interesting trilogy than this match being interesting. This match still objectively bangs. Don't get me wrong. Tam taking Mayu to Suplex City, always going to be here for that.
Oh, it's fucking great, that was.
And Mayu doing a dive, managing to knock herself. Take notes, Carmella. Jesus. And it was really good, incredibly good, and just wish we'd have done more to emphasize closer to the time limit that the time limit was coming. Because if you have a 15-minute time limit, when we announce there's only a few minutes left to go, you're going to up the intensity, and we didn't. They just stayed at one constant, admittedly very high level. But the problem is, when you say about high level, where do you go?
I see where you're coming from, 100%. However, I think with a shorter time limit, even if it is only, even if it is 15 minutes, which is, deceptively actually quite a long time.
But that's the thing, because both matches went shorter, and they had the exact same energy as this, where they started at, because, for example, the one at the 5-star started with a German, straight away. So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. This is a starter match. You can argue that Mayu not taking this match seriously led to a slower start, a less explosive start. The 5-star, you've got a champion or a championship opportunity, or the title of the 5-star, or winning your block as the inherent stakes. Whereas if one competitor is emotionally invested in this match and the other is very obviously not really understanding it, then it is going to be slow. But I completely take your point. They were holding stuff back. And I can understand why, because obviously we are absolutely getting this again on a bigger stage, which I think is going to be phenomenal. And I have a theory as to when that will happen. I gave this, we'll give ratings and then we'll talk about what happened afterwards. I imagine I know what you gave it. Did you give it 3 3/4?
No, I gave it 4.
Oh, I gave it 4. Oh, okay, then we're on the same page. Brilliant.
I still think I still think it's very good. I just think there's issues.
Yeah, it definitely falls short of their 5-star match, but their 5-star match was a sensational sprint. So after the match, Unagi sort of completely misinterprets the result and says that Tam has won, which Tam then corrects her, which is hilarious. And Unagi asks for a best of 7 series against the strongest opponents in Stardom, saying that she's proud of Tam and that basically she wants to prove herself to Tam. This is really nice, just because it's nice to see that Tam, she always wanted to be more than a sidekick. And now she has the sense of belonging and leadership that she just wasn't getting in Stars. And this little bit from Unagi is just as much for Tam as it is for Unagi, because ultimately what she wanted in Stars, that sense of belonging, where she was constantly shunned by Mayu for Arisa or for Saki or whoever, or for Starlight and Sairida. Tam always saw herself as an outsider. She's now seeing herself as belonging with Mina and Unagi. Yes, she might be losing, but it doesn't matter because she's now got what she wanted. She's not a sidekick. And the post-match segment delivered that. So, first things first, how are you feeling about this 7-match series for Unagi?
It's something for Unagi to do because, as they call it, Cosmic Angels kind of have nothing going into Budokan.
Well, that's not entirely true.
I know that's not entirely, but like Unagi, I should say, doesn't have a ton going into Budokan, so like that's a good way. That's a good way to keep them busy.
They also can't defend the artist's belt because of injury.
Yeah, and Unagi also has. It means she's in the ring with people above her, so she'll have to rise to meet that energy. To meet that energy. So it can only be good, really. Well, I say it can only be good. It could very possibly be fucking awful, but it can. But like, it's most likely going to be good because when you think of like because when Unagi came in, she sort of had nothing but random tag matches and a couple singles matches, whereas when Mina got brought in, she immediately got thrown into tag league. Like, she immediately got forced to wrestle the likes of, like, Mayu and who else did she wrestle in tag league? But, like, people above her station. And then she progressed very quickly. So I think Unagi's needed something like that. So hopefully it will mean Unagi can recognize and close up the holes in her game, which she's already started to do. So hopefully that trend will continue.
Let's kick into the main event then. The 3-way elimination 12-woman tag team match. So this was between the Oedo Tai team of Bea Priestley, Konami, Natsukatora, and Saki Kashima, the team of Donna Del Mondo of Giulia, Maika, Natsupoi, and Tsutori, and Queen's Quest team of Azumi, Momo, Saya Kamatani, and Utami, with the Oedo Tai team coming out on top at 18 minutes and 14 seconds, with Bea Priestley eliminating Utami. Now, these are the rules, or these were the rules, should I say. Each team has 4 members. If 3 members of the team are eliminated, the team is eliminated. Elimination occurs via pin, submission, DQ, and over the top rope to the floor. Now, Chris, the last time we had something like this was the 2 out of 3 falls match. And the issue I had with that match was the pacing. We waited 14 minutes for the first fall, and then 3 came along in the space of less than 3 minutes, I think. This was a lot better paced. It was chaos and all over the shop, and I absolutely loved it. I enjoyed this match so much.
This is such a fun clusterfuck. And but also, like, it does play into everyone's strengths, because Oedo Tai was doing better in the more chaotic environment.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
There's big brain to this. It's not just dumb shit. There's also big brain. And I kind of just love over the top ropes for B shows, because it means you can have something like B eliminating Saya or B eliminating Utami, and no one bats an eyelid because it's over the top rope, can be written off as a fluke. No one's hurt, but no one but B still gets a tiny bit of recognition. It's like good stuff. This is a great thing to do for an undercard, especially considering all these people had to wrestle already, so we can kind of just fuck about for 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was good fun, and we still had elements of story. I mean, Momo eliminated Syuri, ahead of their match. Natsupoi eliminated Azumi ahead of their match at Budokan. B. Priestley eliminated Momo, to carry on that trend of Momo having absolutely nothing on B. Priestley, but there we are. And yeah, we still had those elements of story, which was good. It wasn't just mindless nonsense, but it was chaotic car crash wrestling at its finest. And I must admit, I did really enjoy the closing segment with B. Priestley and Utami.
I mean, yeah, like I said, it's a case of Utami doesn't lose anything. B looks somewhat strong holding her own against the current red belt champ.
Now the question is, Chris... Oh, sorry, I thought you'd finished.
No, go on.
No, I was just going to ask, what did you give it, match rating-wise?
Oh, I forgot to rate it. I was too busy laughing at the end.
I gave it 3.5 stars.
That's about what I'd give it. It was a very fun match.
It was. Really fun. So, let's move on to the main event of the podcast today, which was Stardom Nippon Budokan Great Eve Festival from the 30th. I know, tell me about it. It was bloody hard to say that, but there are harder bits in a second, so give me a sec. From the 30th of January 2021, so I've got a little apology to make, because I think I said that the show was at Korakuen at the end of our last podcast, but no, it was from Belsal, and right, at Takadanobaba. Takadano. It was in Belsal, in front of.
This is what happens when you have two idiots host a Japanese wrestling podcast.
Genuinely, I knew I would struggle to say this, and I practiced, and I practiced, and I practiced, and I still can't fucking say it.
Did your girlfriend think you were having a stroke?
Takadanobaba, I think it is. Takadanobaba. Yeah, there you go. That's where it is. I've got it now.
Fabulous heat.
In front of 403 people. So let's kick straight in then. Match 1, Gokikin Death defeated Lady C and Natsu Katora at 5 minutes and 59 seconds with an O'Connor roll. It is shit like this that makes it so hard to see Tora as a fucking threat. She's in a throwaway opener and can't get the win against a clown and a rookie.
Okay, Gokuhin Death has been set up to get quick flash pins before. She's a former high-speed champion, which is basically how every high-speed match ends. And also she got flash pins in Tag League over both Giulia and May. It's like losing to Yano, basically. It's not going to hurt you.
But it's bollocks, Chris. You are trying to build Oida Tai as these dominant badass bitches, and Tora loses the match. I mean, admittedly, she wasn't the one that got pinned. It just really pisses me off. So but she had the opportunity to beat the shit out of these two people. For fuck's sake, the clown can't reach Lady C. She's too small.
I mean, to be fair, that would make it a very different movie.
It's just
a
complete waste of time. Though, admittedly, the referee spot with Barb Sasaki was quite funny, so...
I don't know how you have the energy to be mad about this, Matt. Like, I'm mad about a lot of things. I'm a very angry person. But I can't bring myself to be mad about a Flash Gokuhin Death win. It's like being mad when Yano rolled up Suzuki or whatever. Like, of course that was going to happen. It's Yano. Like, it's Death. That's what Death does.
No, there's a difference between Yano, who at least wrestles, and Gokikin Death, who does the fucking rock hands. And you've got to... but that's how she punches people, and you've got to sell it. Like, there is a point where you've got to suspend your disbelief. And Gokikin Death...
Have you ever been poked? It hurts.
I'm sorry, I can't suspend my disbelief with it. It's bollocks. It is. What does it bring? What does it achieve? Nothing. It's not funny.
She scares the fuck out of me.
It's just wank. I gave it 3/4 of a star, and it was lucky at that.
3/4 of a star. I gave it I didn't rate it. I don't bother rating opening matches half the time because they normally just have for children. But yeah, I don't hate this match.
I just feel like Tora should win this match. She's the leader of Oedo Tai. She's in the opener, and she doesn't get the win here. How? It just nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Death. Gohan, death.
Match 2, 6-woman tag team action. Queen's Quest team of Utami, Saya Kamitani, and Utami and Azumi defeating the Stars team of Starlight Kid, Saya Iida, and Ruaka at 9 minutes 11 seconds with a missile drop kick.
It was quite a good missile drop kick.
So Lady C got put away with the Star Crusher. Ruaka got put away with a missile drop kick, which I don't think I've ever seen that be a finisher in Stardom.
It is probably easier to knock out a child, to be fair.
It's a little bit disrespectful. I mean, she's got that running shooting star. Just do that. You use that to put away the children before. Just use that. It was like she forgot to kick out. I was like, that can't be the finish. Surely. And then it was.
10 minutes. And I mean, yeah, it was weird.
It was a very, very very strange. Other than that, it was standard 6-woman tag team. There was a great opening exchange between Azumi and Starlight Kid, but we had some really sloppy looking spots from Saya and Ruaka, like miscommunications,
Saya was sloppy in the Osaka show before as well. Yeah. She almost dropped Himika. But again, I don't know why you'd have someone who is like 3'1" pick up Himika, who is taller than Rob.
It's just
she's not.
It wasn't the greatest look for the person who's challenging for your red belt.
No.
It was, and then like I say, the missile dropkick to finish. Really, it was standard. It was a bit rough. I gave it a 1 3/4.
I gave it 2 just for the Starlight and Azumi bit.
I'm willing to concede that it was only as low as it was because it felt pretty messy, to be honest. But maybe I'm just being harsh. Match 3 then. We saw a 10th anniversary special match with Mayu Iwatani defeating Saki Kashima at 11 minutes and 52 seconds with the Kishi Kasai. We got a VTR for this match, Chris.
We did. We never get VTRs.
We got VTRs for 3 matches.
I know. They've got the production values. They have a projector now. It's great.
I must admit, it was nice to have. It certainly felt more upscale to have these VTRs. It was very, very good. I thought it was nice that they got it, especially this match got it, just because, both women competed in the first year of Stardom back in 2011, with Saki debuting in June as opposed to Mayu, who debuted as the part of the first class trainees in January. I thought it was nice that they highlighted all the history that they got together, winning the Goddess of Stardom titles back in 2018. And then, out of nowhere, Saki Kashima comes out in her Stars gear, which I thought was quite funny.
But, I can't tell if it was, just celebrating the 10 years of Stardom, or she was just being a dick.
Ultimate shithousery. Ultimate shithousery. It was tremendous.
It's like if you turned up to our next Blackpool meeting in a Newcastle shirt, Garth would fucking kick off.
Yeah, it would. Absolutely. This was... It was a weird match, wasn't it? Mayu said in a promo that Saki had asked for a clean match on Twitter, and she knew it was mind games, but still fell for it because it's Mayu. But it started hot, and then we had a weird fucking middle, a really weird middle, and then a decent ending. But that bit in the middle, Chris, fucking hell. I mean, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. I mean, it's not a bad match. I want to put that out there. It's not a bad match. It was actually quite enjoyable. But in that middle segment, fucking hell. I mean, the handcuffs break instantly the first time round.
Instantly. Instantly.
It was.
But the handcuffs are in a really weird way as well, didn't they?
Yeah. And then Mayu almost dropped Saki.
But with the handcuff, there's 2 sides to a handcuff, right? but she just handcuffed May's arm with the part of the handcuff her arm was in. That's not how handcuffs work.
So obviously they didn't take, and Mayu managed to get out instantly, but then still had to sell it like she was still in the handcuffs. Then, like I mentioned, Mayu dropped Saki the first time whilst trying to do a crucifix, and then dropped her again, almost running into the post. Then Mayu fell off the top rope because she pulled the handcuffs too much when she was tied to the top rope and fell off the... It was just... She then almost spikes herself coming off that suicide dive. It was a time. The middle of this match.
This was quite the match.
Jesus. I mean, like I've put, though, the in-ring action is actually really good. And then Mayu almost getting rolled up because of her complacency, only to beat Saki with her own move, I thought added a little bit to the end of the match. I mean, I gave it 2 3/4 stars. It was a really enjoyable match. But fucking hell, everything in the middle that could have gone wrong went wrong.
Yeah, they didn't. I don't know how. Any of it was like the first time you watched Vegeta versus Goji Izaki, and you're like, is this actually what's happening? Is this really what's going on?
Just bizarre. What did you give it?
What was weirder, the middle of this or the end of Roman versus Owens?
Oh, the end of Roman versus Owens. That was... Oh, talk about ideas that were better in thought than in practice. Fucking hell. Honestly. Jesus.
Yeah, I gave it 3 because everything that didn't go wrong was really good, and I overall enjoyed this match even when it was objectively really bad.
Match 4 then. Tag team action with Donna Del Mondo team of Giulia and Maika defeating the Cosmic Angel teams of Tam Nakano and Unagi Sayaka at 17 minutes and 19 seconds. Giulia submitting Unagi with a sleeper hold. I loved this match, Chris. Absolutely loved it. Full respect to Giulia. She told a great story here, getting Unagi over. She no-sold absolutely everything, was a complete arrogant dickhead, to the point that when Unagi fought out of an STF or finally managed to knock Giulia off her feet like 3/4 of the way through the match, the crowd popped huge, and it wasn't forced at all. It was an organic babyface pop. It was great. It was really, really good. And just Giulia literally just being a complete dickhead, going, no, hit me again. Hit me again. Hit me again. Walking at Unagi, who is shrinking into the corner. Just brilliant. And then you've got Tam coming in like this house of fire, and Unagi doesn't want to embarrass Tam, so she naively blind tags herself in whilst Tam is on top. Tam is completely unaware of this and has to be shepherded from the ring. And then instantly Unagi's beaten down by Giulia again. And then to finish her off with a sleeper hold, a violent one, yeah, but it's a move that isn't even a finishing move, never mind one of Giulia's, is the ultimate disrespect. Giulia wanting to embarrass Unagi here, and in the process, built her even more as a babyface. I mean, this, for me, has done more good for Unagi than any other match that she's had in Stardom so far.
This is really good. Giulia was definitely the highlight here because she was just a prick. Like, even in the opening promo, she was like, I want to make sure that Unagi has at least some bones left. So, like, you can sort of see how this match was going to go, but then it was played really well because, again, Unagi's really good at coming from behind, and the display of almost like foolish pride as she kept going for Giulia. It was slightly ridiculous. I don't think this needed to be 17 minutes, though.
It did go a bit long. I will grant you that. It did go a bit long.
It got to, like, the second time Unagi was going up to slap Giulia, and I'm like, take it home. But other than that, the story was really good. Tam and Maika didn't take away any of the attention from the main story going on, which is very hard when it's someone like Tam and Maika who are fairly charismatic in of themselves. So yeah, I did enjoy this one, and like if they would have wrapped it up maybe 5 minutes earlier, we'd be talking something great. again, Giulia is just the best part of this match. She's such a dick.
She's
She's
I
almost
can't
like
believe how much she's improved.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, she went from like this charisma vacuum this time last year to now just actively one of the most watchable people on the roster. It's fucking insane.
But the fact that she did it, not to get herself over, but how much she got Unagi. Like, you heard the crowd. Like, Unagi fought out of that STF, and there was such an organic pop because people were so like, why is Giulia being such a dickhead? Why is she being such a dickhead?
It was like Mikey Riprak in ECW.
Exactly. That exact same energy. You beat someone down so much that they are going to become babyface. She just got it. It was great.
As the only way that WWE know how to book a babyface.
We'll come to the ratings afterwards because I want to talk about what happened afterwards. So post-match, Giulia implies that Unagi is crap because Tam is a crap teacher, which is harsh. And the pair have just a great exchange, like a really emotion-fueled exchange. Really fantastic. It results in Tam challenging for the white belt under any stipulation Giulia wants, whether it's no DQ or exploding deathmatch, which we all want to see.
I want so fucking hard. Tam used to do death matches, didn't she?
I don't know. I think
she did. I vaguely remember someone telling me that she did, and I don't care. I just want to see a Stardom proper death match. Like, I was so disappointed after basically every Tora big match because I'm like, where's the blood? Where's the piranhas? Where's the light tubes? Where's those ones a death match in a sauna? Where's the sharks? Where's the exploding cage? Where's the knife? Where's the gun? I just want to see people get fucked up, quite frankly, and I just hope that's what that leads to at Budokan.
I think if the issue that they had with, and we talked about this at length on our last podcast, the issue that they had with the Tora and Giulia match was they seemingly couldn't decide. They couldn't decide what they wanted to do, whether they wanted it to be a comedic one or whether they wanted it to be serious. And because they hadn't decided that, they did neither. They sort of found this horrible middle ground, which, was both too long and achieved nothing. So if they're going to do an exploding death match, I mean, this is the feud to do it with. I mean, it was the best feud of last year. So proper lean into the hatred these women have of each other. I mean, it's irrelevant because I already know the stipulation, but I'm not going to spoil it for you, Chris, if you haven't seen it. So we'll talk about it on next week's podcast. However, this is all irrelevant briefly because Starlight Kid appears and challenges her instead. The rise of Kid recently is amazing, and she isn't intimidated by Giulia, which is great. They agree the match, but you get the feeling that the title match will be before Budokan with Tam taking... This is my own personal thing because it's now been made official that Starlight and Giulia will take place on the 13th of February on the first of those Korakuen shows. I think that Tam will take the belt at Budokan. I think Tam takes the belt from Giulia there. And then we get Unagi's 7-match trial series, which starts with Giulia, which is the perfect way to start it. The perfect way to start it. Chris, how do you feel about Starlight Kid challenging for the white belt? I mean, I think both of us can ascertain that that's not going to be a title change, but it's nice to see Starlight Kid being elevated as well, in the same way that they did with Maika, and the same way they're doing with Saya Kamatani.
It's a solid filler match, and didn't these two have a really good match in 5-star? They
did indeed, yes.
So yeah, I'm hyped for this.
What did you give the match?
I gave it 3.5. It would have been 3.75, maybe even 4. It'd be chopped off 5 minutes.
See, I gave it 4. I really enjoyed the emotion of this match. And again, Tam is just the greatest storyteller, but here I've got to give props to Giulia and Unagi. They did a really, really good job of building Unagi as this babyface, and hopefully the 7-match series will cement that even more. I'm looking forward to what they say. Going on, what again at 1222 Dragon Moon has said on Twitter. Again, this is a translation from a Shupro report. about Giulia slamming Unagi after the squash match on the 30th of the 1st. So this is what Giulia had to say. I believe high-profile wrestlers should fulfill corresponding responsibility. I can't stand seeing such wrestlers putting on awful matches and causing disrespect to wrestling. Fucking hell. I actually like Unagi's arrogant and eccentric attitude, but it doesn't by any means make up for her total lack of in-ring skills. If she thinks she can survive in this top Stardom ring only with her fancy ring gears and social media skills, she's very much mistaken. I guess Unagi was in a poor learning environment in the past 2 years where everyone spoiled her. Her shoulder tackles were powerless and her attacks didn't even make me move an inch. Without such basics, there's no way she can survive the upcoming 7-match series. It should be Tam Nakano's role to teach Unagi the harsh realities of fighting in the ring, but she seemed to be doing such a poor job I decided to take over the role today. Unless she shows some improvement, she's an embarrassment, and I really want her to leave Stardom. Hang on, not done yet. I don't deny Starlight Kid's wrestling style as everyone has their own philosophy, but Kid and I are on totally different wavelengths. Her wrestling never gets me fired up and is the exact opposite of what I expect from wrestling. If she fights like normal, I'll beat her in an instant. Oh my god!
She just fucking shooting on fucking no one was left unfucking scathed there. Jesus Christ.
She has completely eviscerated Unagi there.
Fucking,
Oh
she might as well be in like fucking cross-legged at the top of a ramp. It's like Unagi, hopefully he's just sitting there as uncomfortable as he possibly could be. Hopefully this company will be better when Rossi is dead, right? No one's going to be taken up. Like, that's fucking... What the fuck?
That's incredible. I mean, obviously it's completely worked, but what a fucking promo. What a promo.
Why is she covered? Where was this cut? Was this cut in an interview?
It was the post-match. I think it was Shupro reporting on the post-match interview with Giulia.
Okay.
And honestly,
well.
What a fucking promo.
That wasn't on well. Why the fuck is that not on well?
The post-match interviews never are.
And it should be, but like fucking Giulia is my favourite wrestler now, just on that fucking promo.
Honestly, I laughed so much. I mean, I can't believe this is the same person we were ragging on in February of last year.
The person who fucking every promo died a fucking death.
But she's just come into her own, and amazing. Amazing. But even that promo makes you want Unagi to beat the shit out of her. It makes you want Tam to beat the shit out of her. So even though it looks like she's completely putting herself over, she's actually doing an absolutely tremendous job.
I'll be completely honest, I just want to see Giulia go on like a reign of terror.
Unbelievable. Like absolutely amazing.
Triple H style fucking no jobs, brother.
Let's move on then. So, semi-main, match 5, Goddesses of Stardom Championship match. Oida Tai, team of Konami and B. Priestley, the champions, defeating Himipoi at 13 minutes and 2 seconds with the triangle arm lock.
I'm never going to get used to that fucking name.
Chris, what do you think of this match?
I was disappointed, to be honest. I thought there'd be more in this match, and it's just kind of okay. It was fine. Like, nothing really to write home about. The exchanges between Konami and Natsupoi were good. They're actually properly really good together. They should have a proper program. But aside from that, it didn't, especially like the stuff between B and Himika, where it hit so hard the last show, didn't hit at all here. Like, nothing really. Like, even like B trying to go like toe-to-toe in an arm lock with Himika, like, she's smarter than that. Come on.
You've pretty much quoted my notes verbatim, I'll be perfectly honest. I liked portions of this match, Konami and Natsupoi. We talked about how good their singles match was before the chair stuff, but even that sort of worked in with the match. And Konami did a great job working the arm. It plays into the finish. Pardon me, which I liked, even if it came via nefarious means. But Himika was pretty much a complete non-entity in this match. She was barely in the ring, and then exactly like you said, her and B's sequence it didn't seem to click. It had no intensity. It didn't feel like a title match. If anything, the match that they had on the afternoon show of the Osaka show on the 24th, that had more intensity than this did. And this was a title match. Yeah, exactly. I thought Natsupoi was great. She did just enough throughout the match to remind us of the arm damage she'd suffered before the finish. You know, she kept shaking it, she kept moving it. I don't know if you noticed, but she did the pinfall but couldn't hook the legs, which I thought was a really nice touch. She didn't sell it too much. She didn't sell it, she wasn't inconsistent with it, which was really, really important. But ultimately, she ends up tapping out to Konami's triangle arm lock after B. Priestley hits her with a chair. But I will just say, Natsupoi stared at B. Priestley for a good 2 seconds before B hit her with a chair. She knew exactly what was coming, and I think that was pretty much it sort of summarised this match. It summed up this match, really.
God, Rob, sometimes it's just never enough for you. I found a new one. I'm so proud of myself.
Well done. I did enjoy Natsupoi and Konami, but yeah, this match didn't quite reach the heights that I expected. But just before B. Priestley can make us all cry with her stupid show pie thing, Himeka stops her and says that neither of them has pinned her, and she has another partner. And I genuinely expected Kenta to appear, and I'm so disappointed he didn't.
What? Why? Why did you expect?
He's appearing everywhere now. Just genuinely expected. Lights out. Kenta to appear. No, GTS.
Just light goes out, and then it's not Kenta. Madonna's Like a Prayer starts playing. It's great though. Every time lights go out, that's what I expect. It's no longer Undertaker, because he's too busy being mad that people play Nintendo. It's always going to be great.
But no, it's Micah. I'd love this to be a storyline of just Himeka's partners keep getting pinned as she just challenges with a new partner every show. Just runs through the roster.
Isn't that basically what Utami had before she shattered on Taya last year?
I think so, yeah.
For fuck's sake.
It would be great. Just, well, you still haven't pinned me, so I'm now going to team with Saki. But she's part of our stable. Does it matter? No.
Is Saki going to say no to me?
Yeah, it was a touch disappointing. I gave it 2 3/4, Chris.
I gave it 2 1/4. I didn't like it. I did not like it.
Well, averages out at 2.5. I don't know what it is. I think it might just be I can't even say it's a lack of chemistry, because we talked about how much, not how good B and Himeka were on the first night, but they worked a lot better on the first night. Maybe it's just a case of it didn't quite work here. Who knows? We'll see during the next title match, which has also been made official for the Korakuen card, I believe, on the 13th again. So we will be seeing them again. So hopefully their chemistry is improved somewhat. Match number 6 and the main event was the SWA Undisputed World Women's Championship, with the champion Syuri defeating Momo Watanabe at 18 minutes and 16 seconds with Genbu. Now, I was interested by the name of this finishing move, and I actually found a thread regarding this, and I think it might have been Niagara Drive. I'm going to keep calling them that because I can't remember their actual handle. The person who the artist formerly known as Niagara Driver, had mentioned about the finishing move and how there was a few of them. And underneath, at blue_Kano1 said she hasn't used the Azure Dragon yet. That's the one that symbolises spring, whereas Genbu, which translates as the Black Tortoise, is winter, and Suzaku, which translates as the Vermilion Bird, is fall. The one she used on Momo is Genbu. So I did a little bit of research, and basically these are all in reference to the Chinese constellations. So in Chinese constellations, there are 4 mythological creatures that guard the world in 4 directions. So these are named 4 symbols, or the 4 mythological symbols. They are called the Azure Dragon, the Vermilion Bird, the White Tiger, and the Black Tortoise. So the Black Tortoise, or Genbu, is what she broke out in this match. We've seen her use the Blue Dragon before. She has locked that in on several occasions. I believe we are yet to see the White Tiger, so it'll be interesting to see when she breaks out that move. I thought you'd appreciate that little bit of research, Chris.
That is incredibly interesting.
Thank you very much. I can't help feeling that you've been incredibly sarcastic, but we'll move past it. I was genuinely impressed with my own little bit of research there, dickhead. What do you think of this match, Chris?
It was a good match. Okay, I do have complex feelings though, as I'm one to do. Because I felt like in their last match that they were holding something back, but this match just felt like their last match, but with a finish. Which makes me like it a bit less than their last match. Like, I don't know, I feel like they end up inadvertently giving away several aspects of this match in other matches.
Yeah, but I suppose, you can argue with any sort of trilogy, with any sort of match series, you're always going to have callbacks to previous matches.
Yeah, but there's a difference between callbacks and just repeating stuff.
Is there?
Like, for example, between, like, Naito and Okada, they do callbacks, but Naito and Ibushi, they repeat shit.
See, I didn't think that. I thought, I get your point. I do get your point. But I don't think they repeated enough for it to be an issue. And I think if you've got 2 wrestlers, you can't expect brand new spots every single time they match up. I think you can take on little bits of your previous match. And I think that's all it was, or it was for me anyway.
Yeah, I can see that.
What else did you struggle with?
Well, in school, writing, making friends.
Oh.
Calligraphy.
Fuck does calligraphy at school?
I don't know. I couldn't remember what I did at school and panicked.
Calligraphy.
I've never done calligraphy in my life. To be beyond that, no. Like, honestly, I think much highly of this match if I hadn't have seen their last match. But I have, and it kind of felt very similar. And I guess, like, because these two don't do a lot with each other, they basically do kicks and grappling. And they didn't add anything completely new to that. It was still really good, still, like, incredibly good. But I felt like been there, done that kind of thing.
See, for me, I get what you're saying, but for me, it was a match built around one-upmanship and begrudging respect. I mean, you got the first third of the match that was fought really cagily, with them first attempting the same moves, but them being blocked, and then attempting to do them better, faster, stronger, harder. See, Syuri claimed that she wanted to see the scary side of Momo. And you can't help but think that Momo was a little bit reticent to let it out, even though she said she would do in her promo. And Syuri literally had to beat it out of her at one point, which I thought was quite cool. I think they're trying to do, or the impression that I get here is, they're almost in a crisis of confidence with Momo. Momo has the opportunity to win. She hits 2 B drivers, one on the apron, one in the ring. And then she opts for the Tequila Sunrise, instead of hitting the Peach Sunrise, which she pauses and bottles it. And that's all it takes. Yuri's fought out of it, and she ultimately wins. She's not going to take that chance. She knows that Momo is on par with her. She needs to break out something brand new to make sure that this match is done. And that's where the Genbu comes. Or Genbu. I don't know how you pronounce it. One of those 2 ways. And I think that sort of almost doubting herself, that Momo has got the idea of Momo fighting with herself about whether she can do it on a big stage, is really intriguing. And the fact that Shiori has got that confidence to know how to put someone away when she's given the opportunity, and Momo not quite getting there. I mean, she's had a shocking run of results. She's had a shocking run of results in title matches on the big stage, and yet again, she has fallen at the final hurdle. Because ultimately, in my eyes anyway, of a mistake she made. She could have hit the Peach Sunrise. She opted for the Tequila Sunrise. And Shiori kicked out, and ultimately she never regained that control. Shiori won the match. And I think it's a really, really intriguing storyline they're telling with Momo. As I spoke to you earlier, I don't know if it was before we came on air or at the start of the podcast, there's something happening with this Momo storyline. Something is going to happen, because post-match, Shiori puts over Momo huge. Like, talks about her power, and basically bigs up all these things that Momo has got, and you just feel something's going to happen between these two. I mean, Momo, you can argue, is out of favour in her own faction. On the flip side, Shiori needs to step out of the shadow of Giulia. You know, if she wants to take that big step, she's going to have to step out from behind Giulia, or out of Giulia's shadow. A new faction, maybe? I mean, if that would be where we headed, a Shiori and Momo faction? Fucking hell yes! What about you, Chris?
I do like the storyline coming out of it. I do like... It's hard to do something like you're doing with Momo right now, where you give them basically a bad streak. Because it either goes two ways. One, you either lean too much into it and it ends up fucking them in the long term, like, I don't know, MVP back in like 2009. Or you lean into it not enough, and it ends up not feeling like a redemption arc, like basically every fucking time we ever try it with Okada.
Yeah, the G1 Climax 28 is the big example.
Or 30 were being real.
Or 30 with the money clip, yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. But they seem to be finding a good balance for it here. Whether or not they can tie this up properly is another matter. It's a very, very hard storyline to pull off.
It depends on where they want to go with it, to be perfectly honest. I know that sounds really daft because, obviously, but it depends what the end game is. If the end game is the creation of a new faction, or Momo coming out of Queen's Quest, because ultimately, at the moment, she is fourth on the totem pole, isn't she, really? I mean, I know she's got this really iconic match, you know, this really high-profile match come Budokan against Nene Takahashi, but coming out of this, I mean, we need to mention, of course, that Shiori challenges Azumi for the SWA Championship after Azumi beat her in the 5-star, and that's made official. So, again, she's the only one not challenging for a belt. I don't know. Something's going on, and I think Shiori is going to be involved. There's a begrudging mutual respect between them, not to the extent of Konami and Shiori, but there's something here, and it's going to be interesting to see where the end game is for these two.
Yeah. It's going good so far. It's just about, can we stick the landing?
Exactly. What did you give this match?
3.5, verging on 3 3/4.
I think I was a little bit more in love with it than you. I gave it 4.
Mm.
Not hugely, but yeah, I was a little bit more in love with it than you were. Overall, Chris, what did you think of the Budokan Great Eve Festival show?
Fun show. I enjoyed myself. It was a tiny bit better than a lot of Korokans we saw in like the middle of last year.
I don't think anything will be troubling people's end of year lists.
No.
I think tag match potentially between Giulia and Micah and the Cosmic Angels. I think that's probably the only thing that will touch the end of year lists. However, let's look ahead. As I've already said, I know that there have been shows on the 6th and the 7th as we recall, but there are only 2 matches up. We will review those next week. There are 3 shows next week. There's one on the 11th at KBS Hall in Kyoto. And then there are 2 Korikens back-to-back on the 13th and the 14th of February. So I just very, very quickly, Chris, want to run through these cards, if that's okay. So, on the 11th, we have got Natsupoi taking on Lady C in singles action. We've got Tam Nakano taking on Ruaka in singles action. Tag action with Maika and Syuri taking on Konami and Saki Kashima. The second match of Unagi's 7-match series, this time against Azumi. Tag semi-main between Giulia and Himika, and B. Priestley and Natsuko Tora. And then a 6-woman tag, Mayu, Saya, Ida, and Starlight Kid, taking on the Queen's Quest team of Utami, Momo Watanabe, and Saya Kamatani. Nothing really to write home about on that card, Chris. I'm excited for the tag, Syuri and Maika versus Konami and Saki Kashima. But otherwise, I could either take it or leave it. I suppose the tag between Giulia and Himika and B and Natsuko Tora, that could be quite interesting.
It's hard to have a Stardom card that doesn't have potential.
Yeah, I mean, the 7-match series as well. Unagi and Azumi could do well there. You've got the pace of Azumi. I'm just wondering how Unagi is going to do with that. That'll be quite an interesting dynamic. I look forward to that. Let's have a look at the Korakuen cards then. So the 13th of February, which is the Saturday show, is as follows. We have got a 3-way battle. A three-way tag elimination battle with Utami and Momo taking on Saya, Ida and Ruaka, and taking on Gokiken Death and Lady C. We've got a 6-woman tag, Maika, Himika, and Natsupoi of Donna Del Mondo taking on the Oedo team of Konami, Natsuko Tora, and Saki Kashima. We've got a singles match between Saya Kamatani and B. Priestley. Tag match, which is certainly interesting. We've got Mayu Iwatani and Rin Kadokura from Marvelous, who of course has, I believe, just been added into the AEW Women's Elimination Tournament, taking on Tam Nakano and Unagi. And then we've got 2 title matches. So we open up semi-main, Syuri versus Azumi for the SWA World Championship. And then World of Stardom Championship on top with Giulia taking on Starlight Kid. Chris, what's your opinion there?
That's going to be a good card. It's going to be bad, because every time someone from Marvelous appears in Stardom, I come out of it thinking, oh shit, I need to watch Marvelous.
No, I understand that. You can only watch so much though, Chris.
I am currently unemployed.
Yeah, fair enough. That is true. I'm excited for obviously the 2 title matches. I think the 2 title matches are going to be absolutely fantastic. I am also very, very excited for that tag match. Mayu and Rin Kadokura versus Tam and Unagi. That could be absolutely tremendous. Very, very excited for that.
Yeah.
So the second night, this is the Valentine's Day show on Sunday at Korakuen. We have the following card. So we've got Gokiken Death versus Lady C, Momo Watanabe versus Ruaka, Syuri and Natsupoi taking on Natsuko Tora and Saki Kashima. The third match in Unagi's 7-match series, taking on Mayu Iwatani. Tag match, Azumi and Mei Hoshizuki taking on Starlight Kid and Saya Ida. That is going to be very tasty. Special 4-way battle between Utami, Saya Kamatani, Giulia, and Tam Nakano. That's going to be a very, very good match. And then your main event is the Goddesses of Stardom Championship match, B. Priestley and Konami taking on Maika and Himika. Chris, I think, for me, this is the weaker of the shows. there's still things to get very interested, and still things to get excited about, though.
Definitely. But again, in terms of like Korakuen cards, I think people have sort of sometimes because we still sometimes see it where people are mad about what cards look like for Korakuen shows, and Korakuen shows aren't currently Korakuen shows because they can only sell so much. So, like, for what these are, which is like the Osaka shows, like C level versus B level, perfectly acceptable B level cards.
Yeah, absolutely, and like I said, we'll see what the chemistry's like in the main event, but I'm actually more excited about the tag match, Azumi and Mei Hoshisuki versus Starlight and Saida, and the four-way as well, especially with the dynamic between Utami and Sai Kamitani. With them being against each other here, it makes for a very, very interesting matchup. Yeah,
that could be really interesting.
Finally, then, let's just answer a couple of your questions. So we've got from @IrvinSanders3, the Wrestling Enthusiast Podcast. He says, big fan of your podcast. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing well. We are. Who do you think can challenge Saya Iida for the future of Stardom Championship? That's a tough one because...
I wouldn't be surprised if we got Himeka. She did just beat Iida.
Do you think that's slightly below Himeka?
No, I think what Himeka was getting before was slightly above her.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know. I just... Yeah, why not? I was going to go Mina Shirakawa.
I mean, Mina would go along with the current Cosmic Angels and Stars feud, but yeah.
I mean, she's due back in March, so we'll see. The problem is, like, you've got Sai Kamitani, who, of course, is at the moment being elevated to main event, for the moment anyway. Maika, who's just come out of the main event and has just held the belt. I personally think Maika is above that belt now. She's done that. There's no need to go back to it. For me, anyway. The only thing is then, once you've run through Unagi, Mina, and Saya Kamitani, you're then looking at maybe Himeka, and then you've got the kids. So it depends if they're going to expand their roster anymore. Otherwise, I mean, you are looking at Mina Shirakawa or Himeka, I would have thought. I think they're the two, really. I'd be surprised if Mina Shirakawa didn't challenge for it in the next, when she returns in the next month. I think she will be first. But I could be wrong. I think Himeka's a good shout as well. Lone_Saber on Twitter has said as well. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong bit. So it's a couple of weeks I was going to ask myself if Stardom is going to soon either invest in the Momo B Showpie storyline. I mean, this thing is going on, I think, since last December, so I expect them to collide in the near future, but I don't see how. What do you think about that? Chris, do you think they are going to invest in that storyline? Do you think we are going to get some manner of blow-off to that, or do you think it's a case of, we're done now? And it's just a case that B's just doing that for the sake of B doing it?
Honestly, both are equally plausible. Like, we see a lot where wrestlers will just plant storyline seeds in the hope that the story will be picked up on. So I wouldn't be overly surprised if it was just that. Because as it stands, they don't seem to acknowledge it outside of the promo itself.
Yeah. I mean, you did have B then eliminate Momo in that elimination tag, and I know it's a throwaway tag on pretty much a house show, but I think we will get something eventually. We will have Momo beat B Priestley in some manner of high-stakes match. It's just leading that way. It's been going on too long now for it to just be a throwaway thing, in my opinion. I think there has to be some manner of payoff.
I guess if we didn't want anything to do with it, they would have told us to stop ages ago.
Exactly. It makes sense. Plus, you are consistently putting down one of your best talents. So whether you're going to use them or not is irrelevant, I think. If you're going to do that, you need some sort of comeuppance for Bea Priestley. Otherwise, what's the point? It makes no sense. When that is, I've got no idea, but I imagine it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, the Discord. And I got this person's name wrong last time, and I really don't know if this is the right pronunciation of it, but Pippo? I think it's Pippo. In our Discord, has just said, regarding the Budokan show, any thoughts on the red belt title match? Is Tall Saya fitted for such a high-stake battle? I'm going to answer that one first, Chris, if you don't mind. I don't think it's a case of whether she's fitted for such a high-stake battle, simply because she hasn't been in that position before. I don't think it's a case of them wanting her to feel like a main eventer now. It's a case of giving them exposure. No one expects Saya Kamatani to win. I think she'll put on a very good match because her and Utami have fantastic chemistry, as they've shown in their tag team. It's a case of elevating younger members of their roster. They are investing in their future, and they've made that glaringly obvious with the way they're booking things, with what they've said. They are building toward a, in inverted commas, a Tokyo Dome in 2024 and 2025, I think they said. And they want younger members of their roster. They want to be able to, switch in someone. They did it with Micah in the 10th anniversary show. A lot of people said, well, she's not main event worthy. No, but having that match elevated her tremendously. And now, I think both me and Chris said, we wouldn't be opposed to seeing Micah go for the white belt or the SWA belt. It's elevated her. And I think that's what they're doing with Saya Kamatani. Is it the, for lack of a better phrase, is it the sexiest match on the card? No. Is it the most exciting match they could put on at Budokan? No. But it is a statement. And I think that's the main thing here. Chris, what about you?
Last thing, this strikes me more of a statement than a match, because that seems to be both red belt. That seems to be what both red belt matches have said this year, is that we're a company that pushes our young talent, which is a good statement to make. We talked at length as to whether that was a white run when the match was first announced, but in terms of, is it going to be a good match? Yeah, probably. I mean, I'd hope these two would have chemistry after teaming with each other all year, but both of them have proven to have good matches with people who may need a bit of carrying, like Saya's one with Himika. So I see no reason to be pessimistic about this, but there's not a massive reason to be overly optimistic. However, the build has been good. I think if this was on a Korakuen show, no one would bat an eyelid. I think it's just because it's on Budokan, which makes complete sense. But also, if that's the statement they're going for, I don't know why you drop that statement on Budokan. It's a hard line to cross, isn't it?
It is.
Because on one hand, you want to put over that you push your younger talent, but on the other hand, you need to draw. And both, Utami's more proven than Saya, but in the grand scheme of things, neither are overly proven.
No, of course not. Of course not.
So we don't know. We literally don't know.
I think it's, like I say, especially at the moment, it feels like we are transitioning these future stars up the card to give them that taste, to get them acclimatized to those big field matches. No one in their right mind is coming into Budokan thinking that they're going to win, that Saya's going to win. It's all about the future, and I think it's a brave thing to do, and I commend them for doing it. I think if they were going for a drawing match, a high stakes set, I keep saying sexy, but you know what I mean, a sexy matchup, you'd do a Utami versus Mayu rematch, or Utami versus Giulia in a double title match, or something like that. But that's not what they're doing. They're doing an investiture into the future, which, again, I highly, highly commend them for. So we'll wait and see. I mean, the Micah match completely surpassed all my expectations. I know I liked it a lot more than you did, Chris, but even you said it surpassed your expectations. So, you know, we've got to give them credit where credit is due. The final question, Chris, and this is more me, to be honest. Are you a little bit underwhelmed with the Budokan card?
No, not at all. I think it looks like it's going to be a really good show. It's one of those things, like, okay, you remember All Out, not All Out, All In.
Yeah.
And people were initially very disappointed with that card because it didn't have that big surprise. It didn't have CM, like when it was announced, no, after it happened, you know, like we didn't have that CM Punk, we didn't have that Daniel Bryan, like, because people have been pushing, oh, this is going to happen. But in reality, we've got all the rumored, like, big dream matches like Mayu, Yoshiko, and Nene versus Momo, and we have a solid, but maybe we don't know how great it's going to be, red card belt. It looks like we're going to have the rekindling of a really good rivalry for the white belt. Honestly, I have no massive issues with the Budokan card. Like, I honestly, with the exception of maybe the main event not being the best we could have done, it's a pretty fucking solid card, like, so far from what we have.
I think the addition of having Giulia and Tam on the card will help it. I mean, it does completely telegraph that Starlight Kid isn't winning, but I think everyone knew that this was a filler defense. It'll be a good defense, but a filler defense nonetheless. I think adding that blood feud, you know, that feud that's been building since, you know, May of last year. I think that's going to help the card somewhat. And again, I think Mayu versus Yoshiko is going to be an absolute barnstormer. I'm really excited for that match. I'm excited for Momo and Nene Takahashi as well, but I'm really, really buzzing for Mayu versus Yoshiko. Really excited, especially given their history. Anyway, Chris, let's hold it there. We have been talking for over 2 hours, so let's stop it there. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We really do appreciate it. We will be back next Sunday. We apologise for the gap. In the meantime, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are literally everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, wherever. Please go and subscribe. Please leave us a 5-star review and a comment. It really, really does help us to go up the ranks in those podcasting charts, so that would be great. Go and check out the website, www.podmania.co.uk, for all our archived podcast episodes and our match ratings, including the shows that we've done today. You can talk to us on Twitter at the Stardom Cast. We have merch now for some completely random reason, because it's fun. You don't have to buy it, but go and check it out. Why not? It's fun, and some of them have turned out okay, just for a bit of a laugh. You know, just look at it. You don't have to buy anything. Just go and look at it.
We have no stakes in this.
We don't. It's just for a bit of a laugh, I'll be perfectly honest. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Chris, where can they find you?
I haven't remembered, man. It's Chris Loves Piro. Yeah, Chris Loves Piro.
We'll be back same time, same place next week, guys. Join us then. We'll talk to you guys again soon.